Hello and welcome to this edition of ELCAT News. I'm Jen Carlos. First up tonight, a public hearing was held before the Planning Board Tuesday to consider a proposed zoning bylaw to regulate adult stores, clubs, and theaters in town.
Could we ask that adult be defined? And my question is adult like the age of buying cigarettes, or is adult at the age of buying alcohol?
So what I'm hearing from you is you guys aren't necessarily wanting to put it in the industrial part of town, which is, I don't think it should be here at all, but that's another story.
Yeah.
However, you're saying the northern part of town, and that's my area. And I'm sorry, but that doesn't settle well with me. I have an 11-year-old son. I don't want that garbage in my neighborhood. I'm sorry.
The need for some zoning regulations for such businesses has been discussed in the past, but most recently is prompted by an application for a site plan waiver by Adam and Eve Stores to open a location on Shaker Road next to the Planet Vape store at 173 Shaker Road. That application was also on the agenda for Tuesday's meeting. At Monday's meeting of the school committee, members considered a plan put forward by the high school social studies department and the administration in response to a petition circulated by a town resident.
What was outlined was 3 action steps for this year in terms of social studies department looking at how they might utilize the advisory time. Second action step was social studies department was going to use, I believe, their PLC time to look at how they might align further with the contemporary issues course. And then the third one is probably the most important because it's looking at the standards, the draft standards and frameworks that come out of DESE sometime between December and February. I think the Social Studies Department, along with Ms. Senior, will be reviewing those.
Michael Harrigan, a retired social studies teacher, had sought to make a class in civics and American government part of the ELHS graduation requirement. Harrigan and several others presented their case at a public hearing last month, during which several other people, including parents, students, and teachers, spoke in opposition to adding a requirement.
I'm putting all the information together that I've gone through with this. We had that very strong presentation back in June from the Social Studies Department. We had the public hearing, and now we've got action steps that will bide us until the new curriculum frameworks come out. I think that should be our answer to the petitioner, Mr. Smith. I make a motion that Mr. Smith formally respond to the petitioner with what we've outlined, which is 3 action steps, and that we are waiting also the ESC with the new curriculum frameworks 2018.
All right, so I have a motion has been made.
Well, second.
And seconded. Any further discussion? No. Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. And that carries forward 5-0.
Well, everyone's been asking about the new gas station. Now a team of high school student reporters in ELCAT's video production class has exclusive information from a representative of the developer, AMG Retail of Mount Vernon, New York, on one aspect of the pending business that's been on people's minds as they wait for the barricades to come down and the gas to start flowing. Who's going to operate the convenience store?
After much confusion surrounding the new gas station on Shaker Road, ELCAT News has exclusive information about the brand that will be running the convenience store. At first, the operation was run by L.E. Belcher, who obtained a 24-hour special permit from the planning board. Then L.E. Belcher sold the project to South Coast, who in turn sold it to AMG. The opening was stalled because AMG argued with the planning board that since the store was an industrial zone, that it would legally have a 24-hour operation. The end result was a 5 a.m. to 1 a.m. operation plan. Gas is currently being supplied by Shell, and the convenience store will be AMG's own brand, Atlantis Fresh Market.
While schools, banks, and government offices are closed Friday for the Veterans Day holiday, Saturday, November 11th will see the annual recognition of Veterans Day by area veterans and dignitaries. Members of the American Legion Post 293 and the Sisto Lombardi Post 64 of the Italian-American veterans will gather at the Legion on Saturday. The annual parade will march up Maple Street with the ceremonial laying of the wreaths at the 2 war memorials in the center of town. Marchers, including scout troops, town and state elected officials, as well as members of the East Longmeadow High School drumline, will step off from the headquarters on the Legion Court at 10:45. Finally tonight on our library learning segment, several of the town's talented writers gathered on Monday night for a local authors showcase. In celebration of National Novel Writing Month, 5 local authors visited the East Longmeadow Library on Monday to give a short reading and discuss the writing process, book inspiration, and getting published. These local authors included Ellie Diaz, George C. Kingston, Maurice J. Prue, Christine Thibodeau, and Melissa Volker. Ellie Diaz, a devotee of Buddhist philosophy, meditation, and yoga, is also a watercolor and pastels artist who lives in Westfield with her husband Ron and their dog Roxy. She is the author of Big Red, How I Learned Simplicity from a Suitcase. George C. Kingston holds a Ph.D. in engineering and is a retired professional genealogist and a historian who lives in East Longmeadow. He is also chair of both the East Longmeadow Planning Board and the East Longmeadow Community Preservation Committee and has written the novels William Van Allen, Fred T. Lay, and The Chrysler Building, and James Madison Hood, Lincoln's Consul to the Court of Siam. Maurice J. Prue, author of Reclaiming Little Mo, Healing from Childhood Sexual Abuse, worked as a chaplain for many years. He is now retired, married, and lives in Springfield. Christine Thibodeau, author of Undergrad, her first novel, lives in Massachusetts with her husband, son, and dog. She enjoys hiking, cooking, and yoga. Melissa Volker, a member of the Straw Dog Writers Guild and winner of Words and Brushes' third collaborative competition, lives in East Longmeadow and enjoys photography and reading. She has written Delilah of Sun Hats and Swans, Still Life, A Life Undone, and several young adult novels. Lindsay Johnson, adult services librarian, claims that the mobility of being able to walk around to each author's table after their readings makes the event more interactive and beneficial for the audience. That will do it for this edition of ELCAT News Update. I'm Jen Carlos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.